Hey folks, your
Absolute Packer podcast initiating in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alrighty. Hello out there in internet land, and welcome to another edition of the Absolute Packer podcast with Andy and Elliot. And it is the off season, and sad trombone, the Packers aren't involved in any playoff games or anything like that. But we do have
But neither are the Vikings.
Yes, this is true. That was a great way. I need to write that down. That was a good one right there. So, is it better that the Packers are not in the, or that the Vikings are out and the Packers aren't in, or is it better? I'm trying to figure out which is better. Having the Packers in, I think, is still better.
Yeah, I think you're being facetious, but it's absolutely better if the Packers are winning Super Bowl, but it's second best that the Vikings are not in it. So
No doubt, they got their asses handed to them, so that's good.
yeah, it was great.
So today we have a very special guest. His name is Jeff Kalo, and he is a lifelong Packer fan, lives in Wisconsin, and he's affectionately known as Tundra Man, I believe. That's how he's known in some of the circles. And brief background on him, he is known as one of the guys who dresses up in sort of I'll call it a quasi-costume at some of the games, and he has some props and some paraphernalia. Some of it is carved out of some foam and whatnot. But without further ado, I'd like to hand it over and introduce Jeff Kalo, Tundra Man. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Andy. Hey, thanks for having me on board. Hey, by the way, that's not an outfit. That's the tailgaters that pour beer on me in the parking lot. It just freezes that way, so that's the way I look.
Nice. It must be clear beer then, huh? Because it's all white.
It's light beer. Yeah, it's light beer. No, that is an outfit.
Yeah, and we're going to get into later about how he gets that costume together, because it is a very interesting story and just the process surrounding that. But what I wanted to dive into here is, the foam hats and the novelties isn't something you do full time. It's something that kind of took on a life of its own. If you could kind of maybe shed some history and some stories about how that got started, that'd be great.
Yeah, I've been working at a company here in Fond du Lac called Interior Systems, and I've been there 37 years, and we do all the interiors for fast food restaurants around the world, McDonald's, Hardee's, Burger King, Taco Bell, etc. And I'm in the upholstery department, which we deal with the seating, and a lot of it is foam. And so I had a knack with foam for a long, long time, and it basically started from that. I thought, well, I can whittle away foam pretty good, and I mean, when you date back to the late 80s when I started carving some stuff, I got pretty good at it. And I thought, wow, this is pretty neat. I can make headwear out of this stuff, and people are wearing it and they're having fun with it. So that's kind of how the whole ball started rolling from there. And then now I branched off of the full-time position at Interior Systems. And I'm actually it's called a Tier 2 program, where you can do less than 40 hours. I do between 30 and 32 hours a week. And then I come back to my shop here and I start whittling and carving up foam. So
excellent.
That's pretty much how it goes there.
What a cool story. And it's great when you can turn, something creative that's kind of something on the side that you do for fun, and you can actually, you may not turn it into a full blown, 40 hours a week business, but something that can make you some money, get you some recognition, and have it be something that you love to do.
Absolutely. And me, with the art background that I had and, being art stuff, it was always about creating. And it never was about money. It still never is about money. It's just me being creative and making other people happy by the things that I come up with that they can wear to certain events. And like I said, if I was in it for money, I would have stuck into mass production. But this is basically just all hand carved stuff, one at a time.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is, if you made no money at all, you'd still be doing it.
Right. Exactly.
So these are everything you do is one-offs?
Yep. It's all one-offs. It's just all one at a time. No two are the same.
Yeah, it's no mass production there, which is really, really cool. So like if you did a batch of some things, say you did like 5 or 6 different hats, each one of them is its own distinct version of that, really, even if they're some very similar, which is it's really cool. Everything's got that handmade touch.
Yeah, that's the art through it and stuff like that. And like I said, I guess when you're an artist, I know quite a few artists or whatever, it doesn't seem like they're really ever in it for the money. It's just something that they love to do. And I mean, in the very beginning, I had some huge opportunities to do mass production. I got to admit, there was a couple guys that wanted to partner with me that wanted to go through because I had a contract through Bass Pro Shops, and they wanted 10,000 hats. And I'm like, well, I don't have to cover all these things. And so I let one of these guys run with it, and he dealt with Bass Pro Shops, and we got a contract out of it. And funny story behind it is that when we got the 10,000 hats back, I had to repaint every single one of them because the Chinese, whoever was painting these things, they would hold the fish up by their hand, and their thumbprint was on every fish. So it was colored all around their thumb and no color. It was just white foam where they let it go. So I had to redo every single one of them. It was a nightmare, and we never made a penny on it. It just turned out to be a lot of work, and I thought, something, I don't think I need to do this. So I just want to stick with it, just the way I was doing it.
Interesting. I hear it. That's interesting. So,
Yeah.
When I look at all the work you've done being on your site and whatnot, I'm very curious about the process. What is the process that goes into making these? From the time somebody walks up to you or talks to you on the phone or whatever and says, "Hey, I got an idea for this." How do you go about taking an idea and turning it into a finished item, novelty?
You're right. I don't turn down too much stuff. I guess it's all the amount of time that it takes. If they have a certain idea and I just think it's just going to take me way too much time, I just say no and I pass on it. But generally, I take on everything. And I start with, you got to have an imagination. You got to figure out how you're going to lay it on the hat. You have to draw it up. Once I draw it up, I put it on a piece of paper, cut out the piece of paper, trace it onto the piece of foam, and then I start cutting it with a, it's actually called a foam saw, but it's almost like if you can remember your mom or grandma cutting up turkey, and kind of, in a way it's like one of those type of knives. And I just cut it out profile, and then I just kind of look at it, and I just start using a scissors and a razor knife for the profile shots, and I just go from there. It's just kind of like whittling like if, what is it, a duck decoy? If they sit there and they whittle on a piece of wood, it's the same thing. It's just a piece of foam. And then once I get the whole pattern down and I look at it, then I will coat the entire piece of foam with a white enamel paint so it doesn't turn yellow, because polyurethane foam is an oil-based product. So if you let it sit out there in the sun or in any type of light, it'll start turning yellow. So I have to coat it with an enamel paint, and then I do my airbrushing, and I start just painting the colors that it actually has to be painted with. So, and then I plaster it onto a hat with some secret adhesive glue. And if I tell you what it is, I'd have to probably kill you, because that's my secret.
It's like the McDonald's secret sauce.
Exactly.
Nice. So when you start with the foam, I imagine, is it like it's a brick? Like, what's the overall size and shape, or is it dependent in density? Is it dependent on the project you're doing?
No, I get the foam out of Milwaukee. It's called Active Foam Products, and they send them in blocks. I'll get a block. Sometimes they're 8 by 10 by like 6 or 7 feet long, and then I'll work off of these long blocks, and I'll just cut it to the size piece that I need, and I'll just go to town from there.
Nice. And this is great. I look at it as it's almost like reductive, like a sculpture when you're taking away, but at the same time, depending on what you're doing, you're removing things away from it and making it 3D, but then you could also be adding things onto it, correct? Other parts and pieces and...
Yep, exactly. And like I said, there's not a lot of times I'll make a mistake on something, because like you said, if you make a mistake, all you have to do is just glue another piece of foam on and just start creating from that piece that you messed up. So it's to me, it's actually pretty easy now to do anything on a piece of foam. But when I first started out, I'm like, wow, how am I going to do this? This is just going to take me way too much time. I mean, I was doing it early as I was doing it for friends and family, and I was just creating and giving them all this stuff, and they were having a blast. And finally, a lot of people talked sense to me. They said, Jeff, man, so many people want this stuff. Why don't you just start, charge them the cost at least, so you're not paying for all this stuff. So, one thing led to another, and that's kind of, where it went.
So do you only do hats?
I used to do outfits. I used to do a lot of different outfits. But I stopped doing that now because outfits take me just too long to do. I mean, an outfit will take me a full week of work, and with another job, I just didn't have the time. And, people would use them for wedding events and parties and stuff like that. It was, you'd almost have to see the outfits to laugh at them, but they're just kind of like a little midget outfit wearing giant hats, and it's just fun when you see them move, and they're very popular outfits. But I just kind of wanted to get out of that and just stick with something that is a little bit smaller, didn't take up as much space, and like I said, the time was the big issue for me.
Real quick, going back to the foam, is the consistency of the foam, is it kind of like, I'm trying to think of like mattress foam, or is it kind of hard? Is it smushy, or that's probably not explained very well, but.
Yeah, I guess, it's not hard foam at all. It's crisp, I guess, in a way, but it doesn't break down. It doesn't absorb paint. And if you've ever put a cheese head on your head, you'll notice that it's a little bit heavy. It feels like it's more like a piece of rubber on your head. This foam right here isn't like that. It's probably, I would have to say, 80% lighter than the cheese head. Sometimes you don't even know you have it on your head. If you have something that's on a cap and you wear the foam sculpture on top of the hat, you won't even know that there's anything on top of the hat.
Oh, wow.
It's that lightweight, yeah.
Gotcha. And then I have, how long does it usually take to make one, say when you get the tools ready and actually going at it?
Well, 23 years ago, it took me about 5 hours to carve a fish or to carve a deer, like an 8-point deer.
Way too long. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, way too long.
It'd take me 5 weeks. I don't even, if even that.
I know. Where are you at, Andy? 3 weeks later, I'm like, well, I'm still staring at a block.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I did. And the reason I did it is because, and we can get into this maybe a little bit later, but it was for Ted Nugent. I really wanted to make Ted Nugent happy with the deer hat.
Nice. The Motor City Madman.
Yep. And I wanted to do a deer. So I did it. It took me like 5 hours. I said, well, I don't know if I'm going to ever want to make another one of these things. And just one thing led to another. And as you guys know, that if you practice at something and you keep going at it, you get better and better and faster and faster. And now I could probably do a full deer hat, the mouth, the nose, the ears, the 8-point rack, the tail on the back in 25 to 30 minutes.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I can do them pretty fast. And the fish I can do now about maybe 20 to 25 minutes of fish.
Really, really cool. Okay.
Wait, so you can get a whole thing done in a half hour?
Mm-hmm. Start to finish, yeah.
It's like a podcast. What we do in a podcast, he's actually making stuff, Elliot.
Well, yeah, I mean, roughly, if you just say, hey, Jeff, can you make me 3 walleyes? It'll take me about 1 hour to do three fish and paint them up and get them done. I mean, 23 years ago, it took me, 10, 15 hours to do something like that. But you just cut corners, you know how to do it, and just get better at it.
You adopt your own best practices.
So it sounds like by that math, then we should be able to do a podcast in 5 minutes within a few years.
Yeah, nice. Speed up all the voice.
Well, you haven't been doing it for 23 years yet. You just got to give it time.
This is true. I think what are we on? We're on podcast number 17 or something like that.
Yeah. No, 21.
And how many podcasts do you do in a year?
Well, we just started this last year, but I mean, at least every week.
We've been doing about one a week.
Oh, there you go.
No doubt.
Well, you don't want to go through it too fast. I mean, because a lot of the people that you're going to interview, it's probably interesting stuff, and the listener wants to hear it. So you don't want to rifle through it too fast. It's kind of something fun to take your time with. So, yeah, I think podcasting is a little different than carving a piece of foam on a hat, But there is art in what you do too, because like you said, I didn't know one thing about.
See, Andy, I'm an artist, Andy.
Keep telling yourself that, Elliot. Okay.
Yes, a podcast artist.
I'm kidding. We're very self-deprecating on this podcast. But,
yes.
So actually going, cycling into something here, I have as kind of the next point, the business, you do it kind of on the side for fun, but,
Mm-hmm.
It's serious, but the business and the idea, what was it? Has it been sustainable in some fashion?
It has been to a point. I could have taken it a lot farther than what I did. I mean, back when I told you that I did that for Bass Pro Shops,
mm-hmm.
The guy that was involved with that, he turned into an LLC business between him and I because, it had to be a business through Bass Pro Shops. But it was short-lived. And then shortly after that, things happened with Shark Tank, and I was actually invited out to Shark Tank, and I was on the show. And I thought, well, something comes out of Shark Tank, maybe these investors will, go to town on this, and maybe it will become something.
Wait, you were on Shark Tank.
He was.
So are you like best buds with Mark Cuban now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, we don't keep in touch anymore, but I did land a deal with Mark Cuban and Damon John, both of them. And sadly to say, like I said, I think 90% of the stuff that the people land deals with, that they do not follow through with it. And I think about 10% of the things that are simple, I think that they follow through with it. If you watch the program, they do recap and they go through things that they help people out on. But through an interview that I heard, it's roughly around 10% that they pull through with. I mean, they've got jobs. They're business people. They can't sit there and do every Tom, Dick, and Harry project that they run across here. And it's a reality business show. And I mean, yeah, the exposure is great. I mean, you can't complain, because it would really help out a business if you wanted to make it a business. My problem is I wasn't set up at home with 15 telephones that I could answer phone calls with. So it would have had to been something that they wanted to follow through with. And they, at that time, said that they would, because Mark Cuban just flipped on some of the sport hats and the horse, with him and the Mavericks, the Dallas Mavericks. I came out with a Maverick Mustang carving, and he just flipped on it. He said, we got to get these things rolling. And, it was like one of these things that he said he wanted to have every fan in the crowd wearing these Maverick foam hats.
Nice.
But I think in reality, after it's all said and done, it doesn't really evolve into too much stuff afterwards. So, but it was a great experience. I got that.
Interesting. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have the Packers organization in any way, shape, or form, have they asked you about trademarks or interfered or done anything in that realm by chance?
No, they have not. I have a feeling, just because of the people that I became friends with up there, part of the organization. And I mean, when Mark Murphy came in, I believe, I'm thinking of 2006 or 2007 when Mark came in, I introduced him to myself right away. And I told him, the stuff that I do, and he thought it was pretty creative. So I started making him a bunch of hats, just because I knew kind of a lot about him, and I knew what he would like and stuff. So he kind of, I shouldn't say he collected them, but every year I would make him one or two hats and I'd give them to him. I don't know if you guys ever were involved with FanFest. They had that up in Green Bay for 5 years, and they allowed 3,000 people to go inside the atrium, and they bring in a couple dozen of the players, and you would have autograph sessions. I think they gave you like 5 tickets, and you could get these autographs from people. And I was kind of known up there as a crazy foam hat guy amongst a lot of the players, because what I would do is when I know what players I'd have, I'd give them one of my hat carvings. But I gave away so much of my stuff to directors of the Hall of Fame, the players. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to say 80 to 90% of all these players that were at the Packers since 1995 have gotten one of my hats.
That's incredible.
It's just something that they never paid for them. It's just something I wanted to create. And I always thought, well, this is really neat. I need to make myself a little piece of the hobby here too. And this is what I get a kick out of, when I can create something for someone rather than charging them. And I think that's kind of the neat way to do it. And then they mean no harm. I mean no harm by it. And you just get to know people a little bit better through that way. So, and me being the big Packer fan I am, it just was, to me, it's a win-win situation.
Wow. So you're like a treasure for the team. I think we need to lobby them to hire you, like give you an honorary salary.
Yeah. You need to make more money is what we're getting at here. Yeah.
Well,
be on their payroll. No doubt about it. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
You want to give me that would be 3 jobs for me. I don't know if I can handle 3 jobs. Well, I do work. I shouldn't say I work. I think it's an honor. A gentleman by the name of Jimmy Kimmons from CBS Sports came down to an interview with me, and he got such a big kick out of the stuff that I do. He came down to my little shop I have here, and he's seen a picture of Tiger Woods with one of my hats that I made him and stuff like that. He goes, "You got to be kidding me! You're the guy that made that Tiger hat?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "We're the ones that covered that, and I saw that." And he goes, I never knew it. And
Wow.
the next day, the Packers are playing the Steelers. He goes, how'd I like to be my guest on the field? And I'm like, I don't know what you meant. He goes, just hang out. Just be on. I'm like, you're going to have me on the frozen tundra? You're going to have me on Lambeau Field? And he goes, sure. So, and from, I went there, and from that point on, we just created a friendship. And every time that they come up and they cover the games, he gives me a call, and he just asks me if I want to be down on the field with him. And it's kind of a really neat thing, And so that's not a job for me. That, to me, that's just, like I said, that's an honor, and I just can't wait for that time to do that. But if you ask me to get a job with the organization, I'll go to. I said no.
Nice. Yeah, Elliot, we got to find our in. Maybe we don't carve things. Trying to think of some other way we could get ourselves.
I'm a podcast artist.
Yeah, really. Go in there and say, I carve podcasts out of the cloud, right?
Hey, they'd be down with that. That's all the rage, man.
Security, out of here.
Exactly. You just don't know. And there's been a lot of times when I had problems with security, because I always was this kind of person. Like I said, I always want to get more and more involved with anything out by the Packers. And I would carve, a CBS would come in, or like Phil Simms, Jim Nantz, the commentators, or Joe Buck and Troy Aikman would come in. I would give hats to security to just say, here, this one's for Joe Buck, this one's for Troy Aikman, et cetera, and just give them to them. And I would do that for years, and they never know who the heck I was. And it just happened to be when this Jimmy Kimmons from CBS Sports invited me to the field, I was able to actually talk with Phil Simms, Jim Nantz, or Joe Buck or Troy Aikman, and then I realized, I can tell them that I'm the guy who made these hats for so many years. And then they got to know me, and it was just a really cool thing. So nothing really, it comes as, like you want it to plan out or anything. It just happens. And, don't burn bridges. And that's the key thing to it. If you want to get through life and you want to enjoy your dreams and stuff, just don't burn too many bridges.
And I got to say, it's a testament to you. Because you basically went and made it happen. Basically you went out there and you said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try this, and I'm going to kind of just put myself out there and do that. And it worked,
I did. Yeah. But it wasn't planned. That was just it. It wasn't planned. It was just me being an artist that I saw other people on how much they enjoyed my creations. You could see it in the fans and people photographing other people. And I knew I had a gift of doing something. So I just pinpoint, okay, there's so-and-so I know is into this, or this is the team he played for. I'm going to give him a card, because this is something, I think there's, when you're rich and you have everything in the world, what else? You don't have something like this. So it's actually just kind of a neat little gift, and they get a big kick out of it. I guess, like I said, it's just one thing that as being creative, being an artist, that was just something I just ended up love giving things to people.
I didn't get one yet, though.
No, you didn't get one. You're going to get one after the podcast is over.
It's gonna, yeah, nice. Butter them up.
You'll have to let me know. Now, I'm just going to let you know I'm about 6 months booked out right now. So it's going to have to be, you're going to get maybe a hat 6 months one day.
Are you for real? 6 months booked out?
Yeah, I'm booked out about 6 months. Like I said,
wow.
I don't work on these. I can work on them, throughout the entire day, because I have my other job.
We got to find a way to get moved up in the queue there or something. What do we do?
The longer we keep him on, we're cutting into his carving time.
I know, it's carving time. Nice. Like he's making Thanksgiving turkey, right?
So I come back generally in the afternoons, and I start carving away. And
well, let's see. You do one every half hour times.
Oh my goodness! This is like when you have the big jar full of like marbles. You got to guess how many are in there or something.
That's exactly right. But what's funny, you guys? I don't know if I mentioned this. Maybe I did mention, but if you think about it, out of the 23 years that I've been doing this crazy stuff, can you take a guess on how many hats I hand carved in my 23 years?
I'm just going to take. I'm going to take a crazy guess and say 1,000.
Okay. No, you're off by about 21,000.
Holy moly. What?
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Yeah, I'm at about 22,000 hats that I've hand carved in my 23 years. And, like I said, you've got to, and the fact that I did a lot of stuff for Ted Nugent back in the days. I did a lot of stuff for banquets, festivals, things that I donated. I did a lot of stuff. And so this onesie, twosie things that I do for people right now, I kind of limit it to like 3 hats per order. If somebody wants, hey, Jeff, I'm going up to Canada. I'm going fishing with 15 buddies. I need 15 muskie hats. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I just limit it to 3 because I have other people that want to get hats for other events too. And
I got you. You're putting your own rules and your own kind of stipulations out there. That's what you got to do.
So I just did because I would take on people would order 20, 30, 40 hats from me. And I realized, this is taking me all week with this other job I have. It's not fair for other people that need it for certain events coming up. So I just sat down. I said 3 hats maximum.
It's cool. It's really cool though. I mean, it is bananas in a way, but it's really, really cool. I mean, to churn out that many hats in, 23 years is a decent amount of time, but still, that is incredible.
Yeah.
And you do all this stuff yourself? That is.
Yeah. That's what I have to do. Yeah. Well, it's kind of weird because, like I said, 23 years ago, my shop was in my basement. It was a little tiny room in a corner of my basement where I had to walk down the steps and climb over a cat litter box to get to where I got to go. And there was only one window down there, and there was no air vents at all. I mean, the ventilation was horrible. And I remembered adding up the hats that I pretty much, and this is true, the first year or two, I gave these hats away. And I said, look at how many I made. I made almost 950 hats just this one year. And then all of a sudden now, that's pretty much what I can do. I average about 900 to 950 hats per year. And I can only go so fast, and it's.
Yeah, you got to get that rate of operation up, man. I don't know.
I'm just my jaw is on the floor. I can't imagine doing 900 of these a year with another full-time job like that. Okay, so I know a fair number of artists, not just Andy, but so so you've been doing this a long time. What would you say to other artists to keep them motivated? I know that sometimes is a problem with artists.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still enjoy it. Right. And you're gonna hear feedback from other people, and the biggest thing I can say is that when I first started out too, I had people that actually told me this is the most stupid idea I've ever seen. This will never go. Why would people ever want to put a fish on their head? Why would people want to wear a pheasant on top of their head? And it's just like, something, it works because, back in 1985, before I even started going at this stuff, I used to make these big, giant, over-the-top cowboy hats. And we would go up north and go to these lodges or these bars or these resorts, and we walk into these places with these cowboy hats on, and people would just flip a lid. They just wanted to have their picture taken, and they wanted to wear them. And they had the best time out on the dance floors with them and stuff. And I knew at that time, I'm like, oh, people really like crazy, stupid looking underwear. And I let it sit for a while. And then I had a couple guys at work that said, hey, Jeff, I'm going down to a Brewers game, and they're playing Chicago, and they said they're calling us cheeseheads up here, and I'd like you to have carve me a chunk of cheese with some mice crawling through the holes. We're going to go down to the Brewer game. This was like 1987, 1988. And I said, yeah, I can do that for you. So I just took a couple scrap pieces of foam from where I worked at and put the thing together. And they went down to the Brewer game, and they came back, and they said they had the time of their life. So many people were laughing, and they think they were on TV. I don't remember if they were on TV, but they thought they were on TV. And they had a great time. And, like I said with Andy, prior to this, I said, I actually think that those were probably the first 2 cheeseheads that were out there because it was rarely fresh at that time. And I didn't think nothing of it. I never thought that anybody would come out with a cheesehead, 2 or 3 years later. And boom, all of a sudden, hey, that's not my cheesehead. Hey, there's no mice crawling off of that thing. Where did that come from? And then all of a sudden you find out what happens after that. So,
but that's why I think people are so drawn to it, because there's this whimsy to it, but it's artisanal. It's the uniqueness. People are just thirsting for that because, like you said, you send these things to China or to wherever, and things are mass produced. The care and the artistry is just not there for anything anymore.
Yeah, well, that is what it is. All my hats are takeable. Anybody can take them. it's a piece of artwork, and if somebody wants to go through the crazy stuff that I go through, more power to them. No, it's not. No, yeah, one at a time, and hand carved just to your liking and what you do and what your event is, or who you are, or what you've done. That just appeals to the person when you hand it over to them. And that, going back to where you said about do the Packers care? I believe me, if this was mass produced, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, and they know that this is just a one at a time thing. There really is no harm in it because basically I do 80% of the other stuff is all other stuff I do. That's just one thing I do amongst thousands of different things. So, like I said, and what you just said was that no, because they're one at a time, I think people find that to be a little bit more special.
So what is the what are some other items you made? I know I looking on your site and whatnot, you've done other hats and novelties for other professional sports teams, and maybe some other strange items you've done for some other celebrities and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the biggest one that strange, when you say big, it's a big hat, was what I did for President Bush. The Republican Party got a hold of me, and he was coming to Wisconsin, and they wanted something more than just a cheese head. Everybody had the cheese heads and stuff, and so I custom made a 4-foot long Republican elephant, red, white, and blue, and it's actually got big muscle arms on it. It's strangling the Democratic donkey. It's just obnoxious. It's huge, and
I didn't realize that was a hat. You sent that picture over to us, and that's an actual. I was thinking it was a prop. That is incredible. Maybe that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a hat. Yeah, if you look at the picture, you'll see the cap in the center. How small the cap is compared to the rest of the elephant. And no, yeah, it's wearable. But the president got it, and what was funny about when he got it, he signed one of the tusks. And the company that he went to visit ended up bringing it back to me. And I'm like, what are you doing? This isn't for me. This is for the president. This is ordered from the Republican Party, and I made it for them. Why is it back here? Oh, we didn't know. And the president didn't know. So,
the government goofing something up. Never would happen. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we could keep going on there. That's a whole new podcast there.
So wait a minute. So you've custom made things for Ted Nugent, for President Bush. This is mind blowing. So you've done 21,000 of these things, and your client list includes President Bush, Ted Nugent, any other crazy
he's got a load of other ones. So you're gonna have to do some name dropping.
Well,
Jeff.
I'm not looking for name dropping even. Just that's just people that you feel it was special.
Oh yeah, it was. Well, the first local celebrity that I did stuff was for Dan Small. He was the host of Outdoor Wisconsin on public television, and he just got a huge kick out of my fish hats. And one thing led to another. He was doing promotional things with the fish hats on, and that led to me doing some props with him for some commercials for the Red Green show. I don't know if you guys even know who what Red Green is, but it was a comical show that was on PBS. And then that opened up the doors for Ted Nugent. And then Ted opened up the doors for me for Willie Nelson and Toby Keith. I got to go into certain things that were local events like EAA, that Ford Motor Company allowed me to go in to see John Travolta and get him a hat, Harrison Ford. I've done stuff for Ringo Starr, George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, who's another one up at EAA. One of my biggest ones was Kiss, because I've always wanted to meet Kiss, and I just at the whim, it took me, I think it was 4 days of carving to do the 4 Kiss hats, and I went down to Summerfest, and I stood in line. I didn't even have a ticket to get in, and I just said, is there anybody from Kiss that a manager that can see what I made for the band? And at the door, they said, no, that's not going to work. Well, one of the security guys went and got one of them, and he met me by the gate, and he took a look at the hats, and he goes, what do you want to do with these? I said, well, I made them for the band, and I was wondering if I could give them to them, and they were nice enough to take me up, and I spent a half hour with the band. And Gene Simmons was floored. I mean, Gene Simmons, right off the bat, he wanted to mass produce his stuff. And
yeah, he wanted to buy you.
There you
exactly.
go. That's Gene Simmons,
exactly.
Right?
Yep. And he is a big business guy. I mean, you know that. So, but that was fun. And then there's Jay Leno. I'm looking at pictures on the wall right here. Gordon Lightfoot, Bob Uecker, of course, Larry the Cable Guy, Mark Cuban, which we talked about. There's a lot of them. I mean, I've done it for 23 years, so and that's just like your movie star type people. I mean, and then you talk about the commentators and all the different players that I've made stuff for. The list goes on and on. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. Was there a particular Packer player that sticks out that you made one for that you were most proud of?
Well, if it's a Packer player, I'm proud of every single one of them because I just absolutely love the Packers. I mean,
good answer.
Obviously, when I first started out, Brett Favre was there. It would have been so cool if Brett Favre would have got one of my hats. And I think Brett now has like 4 or 5 different hats of mine. And
you probably had to make him a Jet one and a Viking one, huh?
Oh no, I didn't do that. I did not.
I'm kidding. I couldn't help it. Couldn't help it.
No.
Hey, did you see that he's getting sued by his partners for that the social media thing he was doing?
Was that Square or whatever?
Yeah, I think
Score.
Yeah, it's like SQOR or something. But so you got to watch out. He might have to sell those things off.
Or at least state sale.
Something I don't even know if he has sold them off or not. I have no clue. I don't know, but I'm sure most of them do keep them because, like I said, it's something that you just can't find, and it's something that would be a good little novelty, in their house. There's, you see this stuff if they ever go inside of a house, like what was it? MTV did a thing called Cribs, and they go inside people's houses and you see my stuff. It's pretty cool when they go into Ted Nugent's house and you see my entire collection of hats in his den, and you see Gordon Lightfoot touring, and there's my Edmund Fitzgerald carving on his display case in the center of his wall. I see stuff like that, and I'm like, my gosh, they still have this stuff, So it is fun. It's a rewarding for me, and that's what it's all about for me.
That's awesome. I know what you mean. That sense, creatively, that sense of satisfaction when you see that, when you're just like, wow, still got it, and it means that much to them.
Yeah, it means that much to them. A silly piece of foam, but like you said, I guess they look at it and they probably, like what you guys were saying, I don't know how you do that, you do it, whatever, but to me it's easy because I've been doing it a long time, but to others, they just don't understand how you do it. But I guess I'll just keep doing it and hoping for the best. Yeah.
Well, it served you well. This is a fantastic story. I'm glad we tracked you down. Elliot, I don't know if you have any other specific questions or stuff to talk about. Because I was.
So I'm actually just starstruck. You're talking about all these people you met. You're the most.
I personally can't believe I'm talking to Andy and Elliot. I mean, this is really cool. This is like the biggest celebrities I've ever talked to. I didn't go through the channels.
So.
You were starstruck when you went.
Andy's
you're into it. Just wait. In another 5 years, you'll be known all over the country.
Oh man!
Yeah. Did you have to call our agent?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm a legend in my own mind.
Yeah, now I feel embarrassed. Yeah. I hope not. I burn bridges, man.
That's a bumper sticker on his car. I burn bridges.
Right. Well, I mean, so his first piece of advice is don't burn bridges. Yeah. And I'm like, well, where were you 23 years ago? Why didn't you tell me this then?
Nice. I could have used that advice.
That's right. It's good advice to take with you guys.
No, I don't have. I really don't. I don't. There's so much. I don't even know what else to ask.
I was going to pop into the Tundra Man character. I don't know if there's like an official. And what that is for the listeners. It's the costume that essentially he makes out of some other props and not, but he wears.
It's world famous. Everybody in the world knows it.
You Google that image, or Icicle Man or Tundra Man, or just even your name, and you're all over the place with photos from one of our prior podcast interviews, Mike Romer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mike Romer is just a fantastic photographer. I see him all the time in the field up at the Packer games. But I would say out of all the photographers that are out there, he's the guy. He takes us awesome pictures, and he just knows the angles. And
he's good.
He's such a super guy. He shows me the stuff that he shoots of me and stuff like that. And it's every time he takes a picture of me, like if I'm in that outfit, and he shows it to me, I'm like, I can't believe it. You're not going to do anything better than this picture right here. And then the following year, it seems like he does even a better picture. It's just amazing. I mean, that right there, there's art right there in photography. And like I said, there's art all over the place. It's not just carving foam everywhere, that's for sure. So
has he ever done like a photo shoot with you, or those are just candid?
He wanted to. We tried for the last couple of years to set it up where he wanted to actually watch the process and film the process of me putting it together and hot gluing all the stuff onto my face and stuff. And it just never connected yet. But he did contact me. He said he wants to do it, and one of these times we will. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, you hot glue things to your face?
Yeah, you're going to have to go through the process. This is
It sounds horrible.
well, Jeff had mentioned this is the one question you get the most of, right? From fans and just people who are trying to find out about you.
Everybody's like, "How do you do this? How do you do this?" And so many people get a kick out of it because I have to grow a beard. I start growing my beard out somewhere around August, and the first game of the year is used generally in November. I go in November, December, and January. Doing the frozen tundra thing. So the first game I go to, I hot glue this stuff, these icicles, into my beard. The icicles are made out of hot glue and silicone. So everyone has got to be shaped and formed.
Wow.
And I can make them anywhere from 1.5 inches long all the way up to 7 inches long on my face. And the longer ones get pretty heavy. So the first time I go to the game, it's cool because I got enough beard that I can suspend these things in my face. Okay, and then when that game is over with and they're playing the week after, then I have to go looking like a fool around town here because I got chunks taken out of my face, so I look like something that's been malnutrition, like a roaming dog.
You suffer for your art.
I do. So people think I got some kind of disease, and it's not. It's just, well, they don't know who I am, that way. So the remnants.
Well, I mean, that's sort of a disease.
It is. So the remnants I have left of the beard that I have, well, then I glue it for the next game. Well, then the third game gets to be tricky because it's gone. And I get a little bit of scrubble. You get that 5 o'clock shadow. Well, then that gets glued to the hair/skin. And that's where it stings. But it adheres really well, in fact, too well, because at the end of the game, when you got to take that off, you have to get in there with a very sharp, tiny little scissors and a razor knife, and you got to hope for the best.
Hope for the best.
And yeah, you hope for the best, and fingernail polish remover, whatever you can do to get that out of your face. It's dedication. It really is. If it was easy, I think there'd be people trying it.
How many people walk up to you during a Packer game and request your photo, ballpark?
It's one step forward and 2 steps back. It's very hard to get from point A to point B with me. It really is. Believe me, I know what to expect. As soon as I park the car and all of a sudden I get my outfit on, I'm ready to walk out onto the sidewalk. It's immediately people from across the street, the houses, they all come running over, and you're like, okay, one of these hours I want to get to the parking lot of Lambeau Field. And when you get to the parking lot, it's a whole new ball game. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. But it's really neat for the fans that they compliment you, they look at you, they look up close. They're like, how in the world do you get that stuff on your face? It's so real. And well, it's a lot of Vaseline, a lot of snow crystals, and a lot of hot glue.
And then they go, okay, never mind.
And then they go, okay.
Yeah. And then, and a lot of people just say, dude, you're just legend. You're a legend around here, man. We see you on TV all the time. You're on the internet and you're all over on different, sports channels and ESPN and everything else. I said, yeah, well, they find me. I mean, I know where I sit, but I'm not hard to find. I'm front row seat at Lambeau Field. So, but I think it's just so different to people that they've never seen anything like that before, because what is Lambeau Field known as? It's known as the frozen tundra. Well, I'm bringing the frozen tundra right to the front seat, So it's just been a gimmick that's been really successful for me, and I'm hoping I can get a few more years to keep doing it or whatever. I'm not getting any younger, and it's dedication. It's a full day. You can say, well, the game is from noon to 3. It's not that bad. No, I start getting ready at 6:30 in the morning. It takes me until about 8:30 to get done with my face, and then I'm on the road.
Whoa.
And then you get up there and you go through the whole game. And then after the game, you sit in line for pictures and getting out of there. And generally, a noon game, I don't get back until about 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
So it's a full day evening event. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say you're the most recognizable person in the stadium, including the players on the field.
St. Vince. St. Vince is very recognized up there too. He's
with the miter. Yep.
Okay. So you're jockeying for number 1 or number 2, but like that's.
But he's not gluing anything on his face. He doesn't count.
No, he just puts a hat on.
No, but he became a good friend. I mean, we're good friends. I think John's been doing this now for 20 years, 21 years. You may have seen my other friend, Steve Tate. He's the NFL owner. Yeah, he's the NFL owner. He wears the cheese wedge that says NFL owner on it, which is my cheese that I made for him. Yeah. But, the cheese heads you see up there, too, a lot of them, if you ever see stuff that's on the cheese heads, it's probably 90% of the stuff is what I've created on the people's cheese heads. I like to add on stuff to the people's cheese heads instead of just a plain cheese head. But no, so, it's myself, it's St. Vince, and it's Steve Tate, which, we're pretty close to each other. It's, we're, I guess you call super fans. And we do get recognized quite a bit up there.
Okay.
So since you're kind of in this elite club at Lambeau Field, do other stadiums have anything approaching the super fans like that?
I have made stuff for, that's a good point that you said that, because that's exactly right, hitting the nail right on the head. The stuff for other teams I've done is generally the super fans from the other teams that don't have anything other than, they put paint on their face and they throw a shirt on and they call themselves super fans. They might throw a wig on or something. And then when they find me or they hear about me, oh man, I want, like if you go to the Eagles fan or something, I want a big full size eagle with the wings coming down with a big tail on the back. Can you do that? Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, no problem. So then you end up making something like that or whatever. So that's pretty popular, that super fans order stuff. I don't do a lot for other players on other teams because, frankly, I don't give a rat's ass. I don't care about other teams. I only care about the Green Bay Packers. That's it.
Well said, sir. That's exactly how I live my life.
Me too. I after that's a mic drop moment right there.
People ask me, they're like, Andy, do you do fantasy football? And I go, I don't go anywhere near fantasy football. I couldn't even imagine cheering for another team's player, even if I have money going on it. No way, no how.
Thank you. That's how I answer it to people. Say, aren't you going to put money down on the game here? No, I am not betting against the Packers. I'm not putting any money down. I want to watch the game. I want to see every minute of the game, and I want the Packers to win. I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, exactly. No, don't make this field goal. It's going to screw it up. I could win $50 or don't. That is just, I can't do that. There's just absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah. Like the fantasy football, it does not compute. Does not compute in my head. I'm just not wired that way. Yeah.
No. I'm just not that way. No.
Very cool.
Yeah. I got nothing after that.
Yeah, this was outstanding. I think one thing we probably should do, Jeff, is there any particular place that we could send, whether it's a website, whether it's your Facebook page, or any kind of call to action to find your stuff or get the word out there about what you
or don't you want people to come to you anymore?
Yeah, really. Go away.
No. Oh, I love meeting other people and stuff. I mean, it's great. You know how you guys were never a bartender. My father was a bartender. He always said, man, do you meet the people when you bartend? It's unbelievable. You got friends everywhere. You know everybody now in the town. Well, what I'm doing right here, I'm getting to know so many people out there in the country. I mean, I know people from Slovakia, and from Canada and England because people have gotten stuff from me over there. And how else can you meet this many people and become friends with them? And it's my artwork that gets me close to a lot of people that I don't think I've ever met. And obviously Facebook is so good with meeting people and seeing, what they do, what they want. But I do have a website, and it is called BigGuyHats.com.
Okay, BigGuyHats.com.
So they can look at and see some of the stuff I do. Something to tell you the truth, I don't think I've added any new stuff on there for the last 2 or 3 years because I got into Facebook, and Facebook is by far so much better than having a website.
I was going to say, yeah, Facebook is probably, it does more than enough for what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Okay. What is your Facebook address, if you don't know?
Yeah, it's Jeff Kalo.
Jeff Kalo, okay. You could spell that out?
Yeah, it's Jeff Kalo. Yeah, it's KAHLOW.
Excellent.
Yeah, please friend me or whatever. I'm a friendly guy.
Jeff's going to be my first celebrity friend. I'm so excited about that.
I'll friend you. Andy Elliott, friend me. I'll friend you.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. No matter where I go around town, I'll be like, I know Jeff Caleb. Like, oh, here you go, velvet rope behind here, baby.
Yep, sure. I'll send you guys an autographed icicle. I'll pull the snot sickle out from my nose and I'll sign it for you. How's that?
Oh my God.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the image of me. I've always got the snot sickle. I don't know if you ever looked that close, but there's a huge snot sickle coming right out on most of the images. That's my
You see
trademark,
this hair
snot
left
sickle.
on this icicle? You know where this came from? Wow. Snot. That's a good name for a band. I should remember that. Snot.
No, it's not. That's not a good name.
Well, I told you I was a legend in my own mind, so I'll just go with that.
We're speaking of the snot sickle. I got to share this with you guys because it is hilarious. The first time that Troy Aikman ever met me, I was in my Frozen Tundra outfit, and they let me in the security gates to go down and give him a hat. And he was eating a Sloppy Joe sandwich. And I decided to kind of make the snot sickle I gave it a little yellowish green tint, like it was a sinus infection type thing. And
Wow.
he was eating a Sloppy Joe. I turned and he saw this thing hanging out of my nose and he looked, he goes, dude, that is the grossest thing I ever have seen. Do you realize I'm eating right now? So it wasn't a very good impression whatsoever.
Wow.
I said, hey, Troy, here's your hat this time. I'm the guy who makes you the hats or whatever. He just kept staring at me. He just couldn't believe it. So that's the kind of look you get when you get snot sickle.
Yeah. That I can totally understand that.
I have to figure out. Yeah, and I have to figure out a commission for some kind of hat for you. Even though it's I better get on the stick because it's a 6-month backlog. So I got to figure something out. I do want to get some. I got plenty of hobbies. You know, would be. But I was thinking it would be cool to do something with this podcast. I'm just not sure exactly what that may be.
Well, I think 6 months. 6 months will be good. I would like. I'd like a Super Bowl hat. Done.
The Super Bowl hat. See?
Hey,
Yep. Packer Super Bowl done.
That's true. That's true. Well, I make the championship rings. I don't know if you've ever seen the championship ring hats, but yeah, those are really cool. I make all different types and shapes, and I mean the bling. There's a lot of bling on the rings, so those are kind of nice. But maybe I'll figure something out with you guys or whatever with a podcast. And
Wait, yeah, this is what we're doing.
that's going to be so. That's true. You could preempt the next Super Bowl, and you could do the Packers, winning the 2019 Super Bowl. There we go. I did see that.
Yeah.
No doubt.
We gotta do some kind of giveaway or something. I think that'd be super cool.
That's a good idea. I like where you got that.
All 3 of our listeners, they can jockey for.
My mom has been really wanting the hat.
I know. What? You guys really truly believe you got 2 listeners? Come on. I think right now, guys, we are the 3 listeners. We are the 3 listeners. This is it right here. This is it. We're talking to ourselves.
Your mom listens? We're up to 4, dude.
I'm trying.
That's number 4.
Trying to little levity there. We don't have 3 listeners. We have 5.
That's perfect.
No, Jeff, to your point, we're basically, we're a grassroots operation. We do have a fair amount of listeners, but, we built this, kind of like how you're doing this for fun. Ellie and I, when we talked about this I was like, hey, you want to do a podcast? We're like, yeah, what should we do? And we kind of did it this way. And we just ran with it. We're not out here to make money. We're here to have fun and to do the things we're talking about right here. One of the things we did want to do with this podcast was not only talk about the football side of stuff, but talk about the kind of stuff we're talking about with you, the connection with the community and just cool stories like this. So this is right up our alley.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, guys. And we get to look forward to a good season, I think, coming up because with our
I'm pumped. I'm pumped. I want to hit the fast forward button, man.
I know. It's just we needed a change, and we could have used this change 2 years ago. I wish it would have happened earlier. We've got such talented players on our team; they just got to know how to utilize them and how to make things better. And I think changing from a 3-4 defense to a 4-3 defense, mixing it up.
There you go, no doubt.
Yeah,
I think we're going to have a much speedier defense. I just think that I think good things are going to be here in the next year or two. I really do. Yeah. Instead of 1 or 2. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the first thing they have to do is get 11 players on the field on defense. that helps generally. Instead of 12 or 10, I'm like, go meet us in between with 11, like you're supposed to. But yeah, I hear that. That will be a whole nother podcast. We're going to delve into a kind of an off-season type podcast, I think. Pretty soon.
No, I know.
I think in the preseason we have to try to beg Jeff to come back on. I think that'd be fun to talk about the upcoming season.
Sure. Absolutely, guys. I'd love to come on board again. No problem. This is great. Go Pack.
Podcast.
Chair.
I know, right?